شو؟ بعد؟
مفيش هالقد فاتح شوي. اوكي طيب حنبلش من الاول. بدكم تعلموا محل الكنباية؟
يلا علموا بسرعة.
My name is omarR143. I'm presenting here a dance performance. It's called The Assassination of omarR143. The work is, to a certain extent, is talking about the political assassinations in Lebanon, specifically assassinations against journalists. It's in a sense what my interest in the work is to talk about this point of kind of elimination, but at the same time there's a certain refusal opposing it. And the work discusses this point as a starting point, like we're starting from the incidents that happened in Beirut, for example, in Lebanon, for the against journalists. And then, but it's going into a more kind of personal perspective related to us as performers on stage, because we're 5 performers on stage with a singer, musician, and it goes a lot into a very kind of personal perspective in the sense that the work is kind of also talking about the idea of being a dancer in Beirut, in parallel to the idea of the assassination of the journalists. Like this kind of elimination and refusal at the same time, opposing each other, is kind of also reflected on my profession as a dancer in Beirut. What does it mean? Is it do I exist as a dancer or not? All of these like concepts which relate to the main theme, which is elimination and refusal. I'm not interested in the politics as politics, or in the work to be political. I'm interested to talk about this accident or incident that took place, and it could be political. Yes, I think definitely, because it's but the most important thing for me is my perspective of what happened and how do I feel after it. As a dancer in Beirut, what can I do? Or do I have to do something? Or like, so all of these questions, because like when these incidents happened in the last few years, in a sense, it was very strong, and at one point I asked myself, what am I doing? Like, what's gonna happen after in my work? So why? So in a sense, this is the main starting point for the performance. What to do? Do I have to do anything as a dancer in opposition to what's taking place?
ما رجع
هون ببلشوا يفوتوا الكل. أول ما يمشوا ببلشوا.
About, like, sometimes it's an illusion. You feel you're engaged, you feel you're doing something. At one point you feel everything you're doing does not affect anything. So, and this is, it's scary. You know, it's as if reality is somewhere else and you're working in a virtual place or virtual space. And because this is what I felt at one point when since 2005 in Beirut, with the Cedars Revolution, for example, people going to the streets, with also kind of like this continuous acts of assassination against journalists. At one point, I felt like, what am I doing in a sense in my profession? How does it? It doesn't. It's on the periphery, like it doesn't make sense. Like suddenly, like you're dancing in a studio, trying to put on a performance, and then someone has been like assassinated. So comparing this creates a kind of a conflict. But for me, it's also it's very important to keep on doing work. Now I'm saying this, but it's very important for me to feel that I exist somewhere and what I'm doing is changing something, or maybe it might not change anything, but at least it exists in a sense. When we presented the work in progress, there was very positive feedback about it. So I hope we'll go more in depth in terms of in the coming few months. But I'm very positive about it. I'm very positive. You can say whatever you want, do whatever you want. But of course, obviously these journalists were assassinated because they said something that people do not want. But it was a different thing. It was a very strong political statements and people opposing each other. But in terms of, I think, normal life, it's of course I can do this performance and I say whatever I want. But this is also a choice, it's a decision. Like some people might say, oh, it might create some problems for us, we don't want to do this. But so far, we faced no problem.
يمكن هذه قصدك قولي احسن
Or even the journalists were talking about very kind of critical themes or topics. Probably it happened, but of course it's different for others. I mean, it's not. Well, I think this is probably you have a certain image of the Arab world, of a certain image of the situation there. But personally, I feel that Beirut is totally different from other cities. Although also we can't generalize. But at least personally, we do things when we want to do things and say whatever we want.
بس تنزل على الارض بس الدغري بتفوت الموسيقى بس نام ولا تقعد بس يعني فاتت قاعده بس رقم 5 مش 4
Yeah, in a sense, the political situation is a bit difficult, but then, of course, you have to find. I think it's difficult everywhere, but there's different problems. I feel that we need to just outline our problems and then see how we can deal with it.
Okay.
اوكي مثل ما انتم